Good morning, everybody. Keeper Eric here, along with Keeper Grace. And this morning's Keeper Chat is going to be all about our little baby box turtles. We've got 3. They're all running everywhere. Whoops, come back. And they are Eastern box turtles. They were hatched here at the zoo last fall. So they're just a couple months old right now. And we don't know what sexes they are yet because they're still too small. Let's bring this one back. Where are you going? All right, we'll let you run. So you might notice that they have colors on their back. And what we did was just took nail polish and put them on so we would be able to tell who was who. So they all would look different. They wouldn't look the same. So I named them already. This is red leader, this is gold leader, and this is green leader. So we'll see if we have more babies. We'll have to put different color nail polish on them. Now our box turtle exhibit is in front of the eagles, and we have about 5 or 6 females and then another 4 males in with them. And they do breed all the time, and the females lay eggs. So we don't know exactly who the mom is or who the dad is because we never saw anybody lay eggs. The females laid eggs and buried them, and then the babies just appeared in the fall. Normally these guys would burrow under the ground a little bit for the winter, but we thought to give them a better shot of surviving, we'd bring them inside. And then also, it gives you guys a chance to see them. When they're this tiny, they are perfect targets for raccoons and other animals that might want to eat them. As box turtles get bigger, they aren't preyed upon quite as heavily, but when they're this little, they're... I also brought our little scale out. So I'm going to put them on the scale here. Good?
Yep.
And when you're weighing a turtle, it's sometimes good to turn them upside down. That way they don't crawl off. 13.2. Okay, that's gold. Red. 16 point, whoops. Flipped itself off. 16.8, is that what it was?
We lost you. Can you see us now? Can you hear us again?
We disappeared. 16.8 and 16.9. Well, that's easy enough. And then while I have these here, I'm going to put their weights into this computer so we can keep track and see how much they're growing. And I was just playing on the computer.
If the computer wakes up.
The computer locked up on me. Oh, here we go. Good. It just took it a second. All right. So red was 13.
So he's in a computer system called ZIMS. This is how we record all of our weights on all of our animals.
So 16.8 for red, correct?
Sarah says they're very busy.
They are very busy. They're not used to sitting around. Green was 16.9.
Deanna would like to know, how big do they get when you're done with that?
Yeah, they will get to be about 5 inches long from head to tail, and they'll weigh around half a pound or so, or about a pound, so 400 or 500 grams is what they'll be when they get fully grown. And we do have the fully grown ones outside. You can see them when you come to the zoo next.
Although a lot of them are still hibernating, yes?
Yeah, they just started coming up last week when the weather warmed up and we had that like 80-degree day. We started getting a couple of them up. So I've seen about 3 or 4, and a couple of them decided that they didn't want to brumate. So they don't hibernate exactly. What they do is called brumate. And so a couple of them didn't want to do it, and it started getting cold, so we brought them inside for the winter. And so we've still got another 3 or 4 out there that need to crawl up from the ground.
Helen and Jackson would like to know if these guys make good house pets.
Do they make good pets? Well, it kind of depends on what level of care you want to give them. They're pretty hardy little animals, but you need to make sure you have the proper lighting. You need to make sure you have the proper humidity, and you need to make sure you're giving them the right type of food. They do really well outside because they're native to this area. And so you can leave them outside and let them burrow down into the ground for the winter like ours do. Or you could bring them in. We have one that lives inside all the time. She's one of our ambassador animals. So she doesn't go through any brumation during the winter. The only problem is that they are native, and a lot of places they're protected. And so people see these, they might find these in the woods and bring it home, think they might make a good pet. But they really need to stay in the wild if that's where they're found. And if you can find one that someone has bred in captivity, then that might make a good pet. But there's a lot of other tortoises that are bred in captivity. Everybody's got to go.
Left a present.
Things like Russian tortoises and things like that are bred specifically for the pet trade. And those make really good pets as well.
Charlie would like to know if these 3 will stay at the zoo when they get older.
It's hard to say because they're going to stay little for a long time. We have another box turtle who was not hatched here at the zoo, but he's about 6 or 7 now, and he's about that big, if you guys can see my hand.
Yep.
Let's compare him to, he's about that big. So it takes them a long time to grow. So it's really hard to say what we're going to do with them in the future, whether they'll stay or go. Since we don't know exactly who the parents are, we probably have to be careful about who we put them with because we don't want them to breed with mom or dad in the future or something like that.
Valerie, Peyton, and Connor would all like to know what these guys eat.
When they're young, so these guys are still, like I said, they're under a year old, they're just maybe 6 months. They eat a lot of protein. So that's worms, that's insects, maybe some like roly-polies or copepods or something like that. And then as they get bigger, they'll start to eat a little bit more plant material. So our adults are fed, I'd say probably 90% plant material, and then they get some worms or crickets or something to go with their diet. But these guys right now are just getting worms. And let's see how hungry they are. I brought some worms.
He's like, okay.
Let's see if they know what's going on or not. I'm gonna break
Red's
these
watching you.
worms up into little pieces. There we go. Let's turn this way. Let's do it this way. There's your food.
My phone's trying to reconnect. Oh, there it goes.
Okay. There we go. Let's feed the other 2
I wonder
as
if
well.
my phone is trying to attach to the Wi-Fi.
Where are you taking your worm? Noble, age 6, would like to know how many baby turtles we usually have.
Well, this is the first time we've ever had hatchlings at the zoo. We've had our turtles about 5 years or so, and we've never seen any babies before. So we don't know. We don't know how many we're going to have in the future. This might be the only 3 that we ever find. We might go out in the spring and find the bunch that we didn't see in the fall, and that we have a bunch out there right now. So we don't know. We are trying to breed them. We have put males with females on purpose. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens. Those 2 want to eat. Gold does not want to eat. He's not
Gold's not happening.
not in an eating mood. But the big ones do love their worms. There are different types of box turtles throughout the country. These are eastern box turtles. There's also 3-toed box turtles and ornate box turtles, and so there's just a lot of different types, but these are the eastern variety. And one of our good friends, our former veterinarian, Dr. Allender from the University of Illinois, is one of the leading experts in the world on these box turtles. And he will go out and do studies on wild populations. And one of the really cool things is that someone has trained their dogs to sniff these out. And so when Dr. Allender's research team goes out in the wild to find these box turtles, they will have a couple dogs finding the turtles for them and bringing them so that they can do all sorts of research on them and make sure they're staying healthy and get all sorts of measurements and things like that.
You got a wow response for that.
Oh, wow.
It is really cool.
Yeah. They do some amazing things nowadays with research and things like that. We don't know what sex these box turtles are yet because they're still too small. And the easiest way to tell what sex a turtle is to look under the shell. I'm going to lift this one up. And so when you find an adult turtle, if you look at the shell like this, the females will have kind of a flat shell, like this one looks. And when you find a male, the shell will be very concave. So it'll be kind of like dipped in. So that's how you can tell whether it's a male or a female. But when they're this little, they haven't started to develop that yet.
Red's going in for the steal.
Are they going to fight? You can tell they're siblings because they
You can tell they're siblings. They're fighting over.
stealing food from each other.
Denise's grandson would like to know what they're eating.
These are just small earthworms. They're the red wigglers that you buy for bait. It looked like Lady and the Tramp,
Lady and the
didn't it?
Tramp
Yeah.
worm style.
A couple more pieces. Okay. You guys want? Here, quit fighting.
Lindsay would like to know again how big these guys will get when they're full grown.
They'll get to about 4 or 5 inches from head to tail, and probably about a pound or so when they're fully grown.
And then Eli would like to know how long will these turtles live?
Oh, that's a good question. Turtles can live a long time. So it's really hard to say because although we've been studying them for a while, no one's really kept good track. We're thinking potentially that these turtles could live maybe up to 100 years. Here, don't fight. There's plenty of worms, okay? So if you think about it, if one of you got a turtle as a pet today, probably everybody who's watching, no matter what age you are, if you took good care of it and it stayed healthy, it could probably outlive you. This is a turtle you could pass on to your great-grandchildren probably.
Yeah. I know at least one thing in my parents' will is going to be the tortoise.
Yeah, so, and any pet you get, always kind of have a plan of what's going to happen if you can't take care of it anymore. So parrots, they live 60, 70 years depending on the species. So if you get one when you're middle-aged, it's another thing to think about, that it may still be there when you are gone. It's just kind of fun to watch them eat. They're still really little.
Oh,
but
can
they-
you also they want to know again what the colors on their backs are.
The colors on the backs are just a way for us to tell who's who without, it's just real easy. We can look at it. Sometimes you can tell animals apart. They look different. They have different patterns. Like obviously, Gold Leader here has got some kind of light spots in the middle of her scoots. And then these guys don't. So if you just looked at these two real quickly, they're almost exactly the same size. One's slightly lighter. They look almost the same. So that's why we put the nail polish on them. And as they get bigger, they'll develop patterns on their shells, which will make it easier to tell them apart. I can tell all the adults apart just by looking at their shells. I know who's who out there.
Lindsay's 5-year-old thinks that they're super cute.
They are super cute, aren't they? And the good thing about them is they stay little for a long time. A lot of our animals here at the zoo become adults pretty quickly. The wolf pups are adults within a year when we have wolf pups, and the goats aren't babies after about 8 months. But these guys will stay little for a long time. Here, let's do this. Let's line them all up. We're gonna line them up. We're gonna see who can make it to the other side first.
I don't know, Green's still eating.
That's okay. It doesn't seem to be bothering Green. Are we ready? Go. Let's see who can make it across the tabletop first.
You're going the wrong way, Gold.
And now they've stopped moving. Gold is making its own trail. Green finished eating, and they were all active, and now as soon as I moved them over here, they stopped.
Any last minute questions before we sign off?
Gold has the lead.
All right, I think Gold has the lead.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget the donate button on the bottom if you can afford to give us a few bucks to help take care of the baby box turtles. Tomorrow, Miss Shannon will be here, and I think we're doing a blue-tongued skink,
The skinks, yeah.
which should be kind of cool. They're really neat animals. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.